Hey guys, what's going on? So today I have another special guest, actually a returning guest, Sifu Juan Perez. He's from Jacksonville and he's gonna be showing us some really good tricks using Wing Chun elements for self-defense. So let's get started.
Okay, so my basic idea anytime in a street situation, I always keep what I refer to as situational stance. And I say situational stance just because you're looking at the surroundings. I'm not trying to get in a fighter stance. And I complement this really to Burton Richardson when we start training functional use of martial arts. So again, for me, I always try to cover center line by keeping my hands in front of me and always making sure I keep a good distance between me and my partner. I don't want to be here because it's too late to react.
Correct.
So I want to always be in a position where if he advanced me, it gives me time to react. So instead of saying, okay, what if the guy gets in a fighter stance, situational, if I cover center, I know he's either going to go for my left or right shoulder. Since I'm standing with my right leg forward, the closest option is my right shoulder. So when he does reach for that position, I usually just kind of do like a salute. In Wing Chun, you may call it a south, right? But this hand will go here. And then this will hit here like this. When I bring this, I control above the elbow joint, but I sector to my right. And once I have that position, I just control again. You can hit, you can do anything. You can go into like C-lock, take in this position.
Nice, that's
cool.
But
But it's not to be very technical, but just to create enough distance between you and your opponent.
So you're creating opening.
Creating an opening.
Okay.
Instead of sitting there and trying to tie it up and say, oh, I'm going to do this strike and this strike. So by being in this situation, that's already here. So when I cut that, I think about coming in off this position. You know, I can headbutt in this position, I can elbow, you know, again, I can slide in, I can do a kinjit if I had to. You know, there's options. It depends on what you prefer.
I feel like I'm off balance already.
But I also depend on my surroundings. So I know if he has a friend here, or I know this is the way I have to go, by him coming into me, I may go this way to the sector, I can set here. I can go to where I have to go to. So those are just options, but it never works out the way you want it to do, right?
Correct.
But if I keep my hands open, it may be because I want you to reach towards the center line instead of reaching for my shoulder. So maybe when you reach for the center, my forearm comes on the inside, or on the outside, excuse me. And this again clears my path to go this way. So even though I'm here, that's my shot.
Nice.
Just clear my opening and go that way. Right? So
is that a forearm strike or is it just kind of like a push
it's
off?
a forearm strike. Okay. I always think of it as a forearm strike. So even if I'm here like that, this is a forearm strike here. Right? And now all I have to do is go on that way. I'm just creating just enough to create space in a way for me to escape instead of trying to get tied up with a person. So at least when I teach self-defense, I always tell people situational stance. It's either hands are open, so I can dictate where he's going instead of guessing what he's going to do, or I cover center line, right?
Okay.
And center line is, to me, probably a little bit easier to do because if I'm here like this, anytime you reach towards me, this is already covered, right? And it allows me to get to positions where I can clinch. It may be knees or groin or whatever it has to be. You know, you can snap the guy down from this position and go on your merry way. So,
What's that?
and go on your merry way, basically. Just, you know, just finish it. I mean, you can add tons of strikes, but the easier, the simpler, the less you have to do, the better, you know, because, and this is something that what Burton had taught me. So for example, even if I come in, you know, you reach in and I get to the clinch, you know, when I have this position, if he has a jacket or backpack, or just grab the hair. So now I have good control, and I can control him this way and then take him out.
That really sucks.
So, yeah.
What you were shown earlier is like, let's say you can hands on center, right?
Right.
Like this. You are blocking on this side. You could elbow me as well.
Right,
Okay.
right. The tools that you want to use it definitely depend on you. I always tell my students, I don't like the idea of hitting with fists. Just because if I injure my hands, the use is going to be harder for either getting your keys, you know, concealed carry, whatever, you know, all those things make it much more difficult.
Your tools.
Right. So I mean, the sharpest tools we have are our elbows and our knees.
I agree.
You know, but if I use an open hand slap, I think about more towards the jawline and the ear. But even if I'm here, that's already it. So you can elbow the person and then kind of push them back. But in reality, you think if you hit elbow somebody, they're not going to be standing there. You know, they're going to be on the ground or back up, and you can go anyways.
So that's almost like, let's say if you use like the palm strike, it's almost like the Wing Chun simultaneous defending hitting, but it's just kind of open hand instead of closed fist.
Exactly.
That's cool, right? So How would you deal with like, let's say, because most people when they grab you, they're not gonna just grab you.
Right.
They're gonna try to punch you.
Oh, of course. So
How do you deal with the often punching?
I really, there's no big change. Even if you grab me already, if I'm already here, this is already in position. Even if you punch, because if I'm here like this and you go for the punch, I'm still here, right? That's where this can lead to whatever you have.
Nice.
And everything. So you just train the guy. And I mean, the reason you train martial arts, one for conditioning, one for self-defense, one because you like the art itself, but you can learn stuff that are applicable. Take the small pieces that you learn in a martial art and say, okay, out of all the stuff that I've learned, what is the most useful piece that I can do, right? The other stuff is more coordination.
I like that. That's cool. So you just kind of almost like understanding principle, and you apply in many different situations.
Yes.
That's really cool. So we talk about shoulder grab, control grab. What if someone just comes aggressively and start pushing 2 hands on your chest? Because I've seen that before. People just come like,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, again, for me, if someone's approaching me, I always cover center.
That's always a good way.
Because if I think about it, you can't just reach and push to my chest.
That's true.
But if I sit here and go, hey, look, then you're gonna push on me.
Because you got invited.
Right, because it's an ego of me trying to sit here and go, hey, what are you gonna do? But then I'm like, look, I don't want any trouble, I apologize. Now it's harder for you because I'm at arm's reach.
Yes, that's harder.
So it's harder for you to go towards my chest. So it's not so much what technique can I use, what can I do before you get in there to begin with.
Is that why Wing Chun fights like this?
Ah, yes, good idea.
Right? Comment below if you think you know. I don't know. Maybe that's why we fight like this. Because you cover the center and that's harder for the guy to go around.
Right, definitely. And it's easier for you straight A to B.
Elbows, punches.
Elbows, punches, kicks.
And you, in the fights, you much prefer elbows and knee and palm strikes.
Definitely.
What about hammer fist?
Hammer fist is a good one too.
Headbutts?
Headbutts are great. But again, knowing how to do a proper headbutt is something you need to know because some people headbutt wrong or incorrectly and knock themselves out.
Do it right.
Or cause injury. For me at least, I'm no headbutt professional. But anytime I always tell people, think about if you had 2 horns here and if you had a hairline, which I don't, think about where the hairline goes here. So even if I was in this situation and someone approaches me in that position, I get here, I always think about headbutting this way to the side. I never think about headbutting straight on, right? And then our height difference makes a big difference as well. I'm not going to sit here and try to headbutt you and I'm hit the top of your head and knock myself out.
That's true.
So if I'm here, I'm always going to go at an angle so I can step into it this way.
Sucks.
Right? And that's one of the key things I always think about. So it doesn't matter if I'm on this side, I can just headbutt this way.
So why do you headbutt the side, not the front?
I use this top of this portion of my head because less injury for myself. And I know that the chances of me injuring myself more are less by doing the headbutts that way. And the chances of you being tied up with somebody, it's not like you're here. I'm always going to think about cutting off at an angle to go here.
That's cool.
Right? And it's kind of like in grappling. When you have your underhooks, the person who has the head in is always going to have the advantage.
Correct. Because
Right?
you have control over my body.
You got to control. So by going at an angle, it helps me a little bit more as far as establishing my way of escape or setting up a better position for myself.
That's really cool. One last question. So on the first thing you did today, when you had the Centerline cover, you did some kind of control and you wipe it while this hand strikes.
Right. So for me, I always want to control above the elbow. So when this comes in, I don't want to just push it out. I always think about bringing it back in.
Nice.
Because people don't leave their hands there. People withdraw. Naturally, people don't withdraw. So if I go here, see where your elbow's at already?
Yeah.
So by doing that, I'm already in position. You're doing it for me. I'm not doing it. I just monitor your arm because that's where it's going to go.
That's cool.
Because you're going to think, well, let me pull my arm back.
Yes.
Right? So by keeping that in mind, now you've already set this up.
That's cool.
Right? And that's already in position.
Oh, nice. It's an elbow. Oh,
Right there.
that's cool.
So it's really not me doing it, but me monitoring and sticking.
So you
Kind
kind
of
of
like Chi-Sao.
Yeah. So you basically Chi-Saoing me, helping me to go where I want to go and just kind of control me on the way there.
Right.
Helping. Oh, that's really cool. I learned a lot today. Well, I hope you guys learned something too. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below. And I'm gonna leave this information down in the description box. Hope you guys. I'll see you guys next week.